This is Julie.
Hey, calendar. What's my morning like?
Julie's about to have a long day.
At 9 a.m., soccer carpool. 9:10, purchase birthday card. 9:05, dry cleaning.
Did you just go backwards?
I'm sorry, I can't fit that question into your schedule. 9:15, cry for a little bit.
For days that won't end, let Schwann's help. With Schwann's, you can get delicious meals that go from freezer to table in minutes, not hours. Ordered, delivered, done. That's homemade easy. Visit today at schwanns.com.
Right now, you can get both Sprint's unlimited plan and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 included for just $35 per month per line for 5 lines. All you need is approved credit and an 18-month lease. No trade-in required. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1.
Phone $15 a month after $22.50 a month. Credit apply within 2 bills. If canceled earlier, remain a balance due. Unlimited basic after $630.20. Pay $32 per month per line for 5 lines with auto pay. Data deprioritization during congestion. Speed maximums. Use rules and restrictions apply.
Hi there, this is Jim the Keys Bartender coming to you once again for episode 146. We did 146. Yeah, we're on our way to 150. It's going to be fun. How did we get to 259 already? No, it's not 259. We're counting down from 3. Only 20 seconds in.
Oh, okay.
It's funny, in the little break we had, we took a 2-minute break.
2-minute break.
It was like Kramer when he bought the Griffin set. Merv Griffin set into his apartment, and I'm chugging down. I'm lighting a cigar and chugging down a Rolling Rock.
We were like Chuck Woolery. We're back in 2 and 2. Although this is actually not going to play in 2 minutes after the last episode.
We're recording this, but this one's going to go in the bag. I think that's what we should do. We should probably. I don't know. Maybe not game 3. This one's what I don't know. What this time we're going to be talking. We're going to still talk. This one's going to be.
I think we should.
Advice to the Lovelorn.
And I'm an asshole.
We can't do it. That's a long title. I guess we can do it.
I'm an a-hole. I could do a-hole. We did one that was b-hole pleasures.
Okay, butthole pleasures.
Right.
Did we do butthole pleasures?
We did b-hole. It was b-hole pleasures.
We did that.
Yeah. That was the one where we were looking up all the,
Okay, well, we're going to say.
Yeah, the x-rays and things that people put up their butts.
How about we do advice to Lovelorn / I'm an asshole.
I'm an asshole.
Okay.
Right.
We're going to we'll start with the story that you were leading up to. Jenna works at a recreational maritime. What would you call it? What's the technical?
It's retail recreational
maritime
dealership.
Equipment. Oh, dealership. Yeah. So
right.
the gas and electric powered. 4-wheeler,
marine and power sports.
Yeah,
right.
So
I have a employee that's been there for about a year, and it's just.
Are you going to get in trouble for this?
Quite not getting it. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Just not quite getting it, and it's my job as I oversee quite a bit more than just what my position is, but because I have 24 years of experience. And this particular person gets very defensive very easily, doesn't like to take my advice, and definitely doesn't like to be corrected. And today, this 6'4", probably 300-pound man went into.
Is he built like a wrestler?
No.
Or is he built like a bowling ball?
A very large bowling ball, like pregnant, like a very like a 11-month pregnant man. Anyway, this person went into my boss's office and complained about me.
Okay.
That I'm mean. And that I...
How old is this man?
well older than me. I'm 42. So he is definitely 50 plus. And went in to complain that I am just too hard on him. Jenna doesn't give me a break. She's always on my case and always correcting everything I do. And so my boss brought me into the office and let me know his feelings about it. And I was like, really? So he's scared of me. He's intimidated by this massive human. I'm 4'11".
Yeah.
I'm a tiny human being.
Uh-huh.
I'm just good at what I do. Well, of course, after
you
working,
intimidated him with your expertise,
with my experience,
and expertise,
right? And of course,
and your abilities.
Yeah. So, of course, my boss and I kind of giggled about it behind closed doors, and we discussed about how he's definitely a male chauvinist pig that absolutely is defensive at the fact that a female knows more than him and has been instructed by upper management to correct him and train him, and even though he doesn't like to listen to it. So I giggled about it. We kind of giggled about it. And I was like, oh, it's really great because, I mean, I'm an asshole. I mean, he basically said she's mean to me.
Oh,
and
you're
I'm
being an
emotional,
asshole?
and I'm an asshole, which is my job.
Yeah.
But so thank you. I'm glad I'm an asshole. But I ran some errands on my lunch break today, and I got very, very late lunch. So I ran to the bank, took care of some errands for my sons, and then I stopped at Walgreens and just to get mouthwash and basics and things like that. And I decided that I was going to buy him a I don't know, what do you call it? It's a canister of Johnson's baby powder.
For his ass?
Well, right. I mean, if you need me to change your diaper when I get back, you whiny little freaking baby, then at least I've got some backup. So, of course, I get back and
Should have bought him a fucking Binky.
I should have bought him a Binky. And, I really regretted not getting him one of those nooks, like the pacifiers that hangs from the strap that you can like pin with the baby, of course, safety pin that locks to your shirt. Because whenever he walks around all day long, anytime that he feels that I am being too hard on him, he can just put that in his mouth and suck it and walk around. Because for someone to be intimidated by tiny little me and go and whine about it to the other massive human, which is my boss, I took it as a compliment because thank you for being intimidated by my 6'4" personality.
I understand and I'm not trying to, I have no points to gain from any women anymore because I'm pretty much done.
Right.
At 55. I don't understand these guys that are still fucking running around at 55 and stuff like that. I did my share of stuff. So when I get a boss, they're either an asshole or not an asshole. There's good ones and there are bad ones and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, men and women are equally good and bad leaders. And that's what I came to see. The good ones and stuff like that, I can talk about. There was at Gilbert's, the general manager was awesome. At the Encore, Michelle, she's actually Fish House, was incredible.
Do you know that she lives right across the street, right?
Yeah, I think.
Right there.
Yeah. I think she was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
She does the thing. She had the perfect balance of being a friend and not being, you know what I mean? Right. And then being a boss. Same thing as the other guy, Damien. He was good that way too. And then I had some women that weren't so hot. And there was tons of guys that way too, because for the years ago when I worked, there were less women in charge.
Right.
So, I mean, that's an ego trip to get. Why would you care if you really don't like anybody telling you what to do? Get yourself some expertise. Work real hard. You become the fucking boss.
Learn from me.
But you become the boss. You work real hard. Lead by example. You become the boss. You don't do. But the thing is, when you bitch about other people if you're always finding fault with your superiors and then your inferiors, chances are you don't have the shit to make it work. Right.
This guy has got the biggest ego trip I've ever seen, actually. But this is great. You want to hear this one? Mm-hmm. On his third day of working at Reva, okay, he sat in my office. Yeah. Came in. I didn't know who he was. Yeah. I had never even been introduced because, of course, I'm a little bit farther up the food chain. Didn't know who he was. And he
didn't even introduce himself.
No, I didn't know. He just came in and sat down at my desk at my office and looked at me and said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I know how to do your job. And a fresh eye never hurts. So if you ever need any advice, I'll be right here to help you."
Really?
Yeah. And I said, "Wow, well, that was bold." I said, "So you haven't met me yet?" And I introduced myself. And
I always thought that when you're in a new place, you want to impress people with how much of a team player you are.
Right, well, but that was
Team player,
but
meaning
it was very
I'll do whatever
rude
you
and condescending the way he came.
I know,
off,
but
right?
if you're going to lead, and this does these life skills go to the advice for the Lovelorn?
Yes,
they do. It's the way you talk to people and how you handle people. There's a mentality out there that some people are so. I think they're so frightened of being dominated that they'll try to dominate, and they fail so miserably because of being inept in their leadership skills, knowledge, abilities, that they'll just crash and burn. And the only thing they could do is throw shade at people.
all this guy does is make up excuses, and then literally I have got like it's a deflection. Oh, that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my job. That's the 4 words that I hate the most. That's not my job. Because it's like, you know what? If you're going to be a team player and you're going to be a part of,
I mean, the best you could say in this situation is, I was not aware that was not being done, and I will try to be aware and address it when it comes up. I wasn't aware that wasn't getting done. I am so sorry. And I should have been more cognizant. And that's the way you could do it. This is diplomat. See my diplomatic thing? I go like this. Wow, I didn't know that was being
really
done.
Look at it that
I just
way.
assumed.
I'll try
I
it.
just assumed. And you know what? I could have, if I paid attention more. And there's times I talk to people and they tell me, "See, Jim, this," and they go, "You screwed up on this." And I go, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah. Own
I
it.
did.
If
Own
you
it.
screwed something up, just own
I
it.
I did.
Or ask for
And
help.
they go like this, and when you own it, it
diffuses them.
It does not only that; it shows a confidence that you are able to handle criticism, and that also means you have ability to grow.
And
Ability to
and
grow.
you show
Grow into
professional maturity.
Yeah.
So, I think it jumps over into the advice for the
You go and you fall on it. You go like this. Is it really bad? Do you need me to go? And I remember someone said, "Do you need me to go to the big guy and tell him I screwed up?" And they look at me. They did this one time to me at this at a software place.
Okay.
No, at a software place I was working. I said, "Do you need? I'll go there and I'll go and take full responsibility for that. That was my mistake. I did misrepresent from a lack of mastering the product." And I will go between. I can do both. I said, "I'm sorry, I can't do it." I'll go and talk to the client and do it. I've been in a situation where I worked at a circuit board where I got yelled at by a head engineer in front of the whole factory floor of another company, and the purchasing agent was there, and the purchasing agent felt so bad that they gave me a whole shitload of orders after that, and I ended up getting like a lot of sales out of it
Because you owned it.
Yeah,
right. So
but it's just. I mean, there's nothing you could do about it. People are going to see through it. You're not going to be like the what's that movie that Matt Damon was in? The Incredible Mr. Ripley.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that.
You ever seen it? He's a guy. He's very the talented Mr. Ripley.
Talented. Okay.
The talented Mr. Ripley, and he's just kind of a chameleon shapeshifter and stuff like that. And he just fell into whatever thing. He was the expert, but he was good at it. He was good at it. And he wouldn't do what the big fucking Oompa Loompa guy you're talking about.
Well,
He wouldn't do shit like that. He would just go and conquer the situation.
this guy though has had a history of supposedly and brags about all these different jobs in completely non-related fields that he's done in his whole life. He just tries to brag, self it's like, do you have a self-confidence problem? You want everybody to just look up to you or something? But here's the problem is that I see through it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for so long, and every position at the company, including his, that of course they have me training his staff because he can't do it. And he only gets defensive and weird when I catch him doing something wrong. And when I try to show him how to do it, it's ego, ego, ego. I don't have time for that. Pushes me aside about it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm showing a loss every single month.
Whenever
it's not good.
There's and once again, when we're done, I think we're ready maybe to pivot on this. This is one where you can talk for advice for the Lovelorn.
Right, because
whenever you have the opportunity, it's go guys and girls and guys. If you have someone ask you to try something new, and I'm not talking about, do you want to try anal sex? I'm saying if you want to try a PowerPoint presentation, do this or whatever the next thing is. Do the teleconference PowerPoint presentation, whatever the new. I mean, I'm maybe showing my age that they don't do this anymore. They got GoToMeeting and all this shit now. But you volunteer to do it first, and you fail doing it first. People look at you and go, "Oh, I did." Whenever a trainer would come in and show you something, and he said, "Is there any volunteers?" I would come up and do it right away because I want to fail early. There's a reason, but it shows bravery.
Right.
And I go and do it, and I would not do it with a false sense of panache, like I know what I was doing, but I would do it with a comfort, and I would sublimate my fear, go and do it, try my best, follow the key points. I try to pick several key points that they were trying to drive at and hit them and do it. And it's sometimes as simple as thing. We had a sommelier come into that restaurant I was working down in Amarada for a year, and they were showing us wine presentation. I never did. I show them. I know how to hold the bottle out. I know how to open it and stuff like that. But I didn't know that where you cut the foil around, and that you're supposed to when you're putting in the wine key, that you're keeping the label pointed at them.
Oh, well, that makes
tilted.
sense.
And then you uncork it, not all the way out, just enough to get that cork back it up some, and then you take the wine key out and you get enough out, and then you pull it out, and then when you're pouring it, you pour with the label facing each person, and it's a lot less than you think. Wine, it's probably a third of what you normally would pour in a glass for someone, and I did it, and I didn't fail miserably. I did okay. I would be in the end of the day at the nice restaurant, I would have been at that point. They said, "Oh, he's the worst at it," but eventually I'm not. I'm okay. I'm good at it now. I'm not the greatest. I'm good at it.
Right.
But this young girl, beautiful girl, Kelly, beautiful, gorgeous girl, young girl. I felt I liked her. I appreciated her as almost like a daughter. I mean, I know it's weird to come. I mean, my friends are going to say, "What's wrong with you?" I say, "No, this girl was really pretty, 23, 24." And she got so nervous, she started crying.
Oh.
And I went and said, "Hey, don't worry, hon." I'm talking to her and stuff like that. I earned so much credit for that. If I was 20 years younger, 25 years younger. 25 years younger.
Okay, but
that
so
would have been a different game.
But
and
that's a perfect example of advice to the Lovelorn, because if you go through, you have all these life experiences, and you can take it from every avenue, right? You can say, okay, so what did I learn from that? Or let's say you had a great relationship that lasted 2 years, and you thought it was great, and then all of a sudden they just hit you with, "I'm done." Well, what did you do wrong? Go back.
What I hear people go, "I can't meet anybody." I say, you know what? First of all, okay, is there one thing that's holding you back from meeting people? Obviously, there's big red flags for certain people.
Right.
Not having a house or a home you live in, living on the street. That sucks. It's not going to work. Maybe you can't mate. If you need another,
if you're a couch hopper,
it's going to be tough. You have to be charming as shit.
Right.
But I'm just saying, sometimes these guys and girls do all right. But what I'm suggesting is, if you're going out and getting shit-faced, and you don't seem to meet the girl that isn't like you, it's because you're being shit-faced all the time.
Right.
If you're getting in fights, if you're violent, if you're rude, think about your language. Are you kind? It doesn't cost anything to be kind. Be kind and thoughtful. And you always think, and the some people think, and I had a friend come in, and she always brings her boyfriends in. So, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy?
Yeah.
I said, it really doesn't fucking matter what I think of this guy, because this is your first week or first 2 weeks or first date. He's going to be on his very best behavior. Show me in 3 months. Let me hear about him in 3 months. You're not going to. What they do is and women do this somewhat too. We don't let everyone know who we are.
I actually
We don't. You
think
don't fucking
women
do
it more.
No, I don't play it. The reason I believe is the person that's the aggressor. When I say aggressor, aggressively seeking that relationship, it's going to sublimate the worst aspects of the personality, the whole back.
Right.
During the courting phase, they will, if they're out of control drinking, they're going to let that happen all the time, and then you're going to know that. And there's some women that they went into it full knowledge. This guy's always fucked up.
Right.
You went out and you're like surprised, and then they get tired of him always being fucked up. Oh,
Well,
it's not his. It's not. Guys, don't be mad if the girl leaves you because you're always fucked up. Because she thought maybe that there's always in the back of their minds, or girls think that they're going to change him. He's not going to do it. No, they don't change. They get worse.
Yeah, they get more comfortable.
They get worse. And if you've seen someone, it's in any relationship, if someone, you started screwing around with your friend's boyfriend, and you knew your friend said he hit me, he's going to hit you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to hit you. He's going to do everything he did to her, and eventually if the younger they are, the more likely they are going to cheat on you and stuff like that.
Right. Go into everything with
and
eyes
the more
wide
violent
open.
they are, if they're violent to other people, chances are one day they'll be violent to you. And the more violent they get,
Yep.
I mean, obviously.
I've always said, watch how they treat a server. Watch how they treat a bartender.
That's an old.
Because
that's a good one.
it is a good one because it's very true. If how they
Yeah, but
treat
if
a
they're-
stranger who's actually there to help you.
There's chinks in that theory because you get the guys that are real cowards, right?
Yeah.
If you're a real coward, let me fire up this scar again.
Yes, you need to relight.
You're not going to step up to someone.
The coward's not going to.
They're not going to step up to an alpha. And almost every bartender I know, should be the alpha.
Correct.
If you're not, it's like being in a prison and you're the girl in the men's prison.
Right.
If you're going to survive, you can't, and you got to be the alpha, but you got to be the kind alpha.
Right. You got to be nice.
I mean, if you're the asshole bartender and stuff, you're like, yeah. If you're in a biker bar, yes.
But like you said, though, it costs nothing to be nice. Mm-mm. You know, and that's the
No,
thing.
it doesn't. And then people see he's kind, and you always think you got this thing in your head that the girls only go after guys that are assholes because they have poor judgment. But you becoming an asshole to fulfill that requirement in this woman's life will not work well because eventually she leaves that asshole. That's the reason why she'd be with you. And then you'd be chasing that whole cycle.
Well, of course, what they say, nice guys always finish last. But that is a really good point because
no, they don't.
My oldest son he's a little bit of an ass, you know, like me with testosterone.
Yeah.
But the girls just flock to this kid. And I think it's almost like they look at it as a challenge. Like it's a playing hard to get. Like they know he can have this. I mean, it's ridiculous. This kid could be a model is how handsome he is.
I've met him. He's a good-looking kid.
Yeah, very good-looking kid. Tall, dark, handsome. He goes to the gym. He picks things up. He puts things down 6 days a week. I mean,
I talked to him. He's very polite.
Very polite. Very sweet young man. But when he's, like, you know, doing his thing, and of course, around me, he's always going to be polite. That's, you know, I'm mom. But the girls that he usually would end up with.
I'm going to use that word again, panache.
Panache.
Panache. Being bold and having a little panache. Being it.
But he's like he's ungettable to them, so they keep pursuing and pursuing because they know that he has a choice of you know a variety of different choices in girls. and they just keep going after them.
When I was younger, I did tender the personality trait of being polite, charming, but I also was kind of a slut.
Yeah. And Ryan's a slut.
I'm
he's
kind of a
now.
slut,
He's been behaving himself lately. He's got one girl that's
I
really
wasn't
nice.
pushy, bold, but I mean, I would stand my ground and do anything like it, and that's the way to be. I mean, eventually, every guy I saw that was in the toughest guys in my neighborhood eventually got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Because they pissed off a bunch of people or someone, and to get.
But see, my husband is super polite, and he's really nice. But again, you know, I'm older than he is. So I think a lot of your courting and your challenges and the things that people, I can't find anybody, you got to get to the point where you don't really give a shit.
Yeah. I think what happens is you have these. I would really like to see a really in-depth study done by a university, but I think those big online dating apps now.
Oh my God.
No, they're so valuable that no university could get inside, and they won't let them study the data and the final, to see what it's like. Because you say, well, how is it possible that if you're given a reflective time to answer questions, and you can read these questions, and supposedly on a test, there's a test called the psychotic test.
Are you talking about the personality test? With
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And they make it 200. They make 200 questions, and they'll put similar questions phrased differently to catch someone going differently. It's supposed to catch them.
Right.
I think it's 250 points
on purpose, what they think they're supposed to
there's
answer.
no way they do it.
Right.
And these online dating apps are self-fulfilling for the kind of person they want to meet. So, if the hot girl's looking for someone who's, there was a comedian that says they want someone who is a take-charge guy, but who also can be tender. They want someone who can be spontaneous, but has a plan.
Right.
They want them to be all things, and the same thing for girls. A guy wants a girl to be modest, but kind of slutty to them.
Right.
Right? They want them to be smart, but not more so than them.
Exactly.
So you have these. Now you have the modified ones. You have the JD. First came out was what was that? Mate. What was the first one? The first big dating app.
Isn't that Match?
Match.com.
Okay.
And then you had Christian Mingle, JDate. And then you have the Elite.
Before
Elite.
the online ones, they had the voice recording ones, remember? My brother, I want to say that one of my brothers met his wife on that when you went to, and you did like a little video recording, and then these girls could like watch the videos.
That's a movie I talked about earlier, Magnolia.
Is that what that is?
John C. Reilly. Did you ever see the movie Magnolia?
No.
John C. Reilly is
it was like video dating. It was video, whatever.
You sit there and do that, and then they have we got the 5-minute date thing where you go and jump around.
Speed
dating. Oh yeah, that's a good way to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a good way to meet people and get a topical.
Yeah, but what do you do? Just
I think
repeat yourself
under
over?
pressure, I think that may be the best way because you get exhausted from trying to be. You got to try eventually. The 10th person.
I was going to say, what about you get to the 15th person? You're just tired of it.
Yeah.
You're tired of repeating yourself.
Yeah. And you're going to end up being more yourself.
Right,
At the 10th or 15th person, I think when you meet that person, oh, this is so tiresome. And you meet a girl and she's, I just want to meet someone and go out and have a drink with it. It's not going to be ridiculous and stuff like that.
Right. Well, and then
on Abby and our first date, I yapped for an hour and a half. She didn't say shit. And I'm thinking, I am dying here. It turned out she liked me.
What?
Yeah, surprise.
How did you meet her? There we go. Here we go. History lessons for the Lovelorn Lost. And let's see how we found our matches.
I was at Abby and I were at the same gym, and I would notice this tall, beautiful woman with an accent, and she ended up being Polish. I'm good. She'd work out. She fabulous. She definitely had a workout regimen. She had a beautiful body. She was a couple inches shorter than me. She's 6'2". I'm 6'4".
Yeah, I was gonna say she is.
Yeah, everyone says it's funny. They go and say, "Oh, she's taller than you," and I said, "No, she's not. You could just put us right next to each other. We're at a pool. We're all barefoot." I says, "Look at my feet. See, I'm not standing."
Sidebar: does it irritate you if she wears heels?
She doesn't wear heels because she's 6'2".
Mm-hmm. My beer is frozen. I have to be right back. Keep talking.
She has. I saw her at the gym and we were talking. We start chatting a little, and then we start stretching. I'd go over and stretch when she was stretching at this. It's called a pre-core stretch machine, and I would just start chatting with her. And I was saying, yo, you seem to work out so much. You really care about. And I don't know how this came up, but she said something like, she went right to the point. She said, "But you don't want to see me naked." And I said, "Speak for yourself."
Oh, it's because she's had a child.
No.
Is that why she said that?
No, she said, "Well, I thought I was being charming." I said, "You don't want to see me naked." I said, "Speak for yourself. I would love to see you naked." That was it. I didn't say that. I said, "Speak for yourself."
Right.
But that implied was.
And you thought you were being charming by saying that?
Charming, and it worked. It kind of worked. I said, "No, you're not. I'm sure I would be," and it was. My impressions were correct. And we ended up eventually going out. The story behind it because when I was working at this restaurant, when I came down here, it was a couple years. 2 years after I came down here, there was this beautiful, tall Polish woman. I thought this was her that worked at the T-shirt factory. It's called the T-shirt factory, but it's a high-end tourist place where they sell shoes. They had a very high-end shoe store actually there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sandal factory.
Right,
sandal
factory. Yep.
Yeah, and they sell expensive. And I would drive my car out, and there was this woman out there, and I was looking at her, and she's like, "Oh my God, she's a knockout." And I was talking to our sushi guy, Joe, and I always thought he was full of shit. He was a nice guy. Joey, God, what's Joey's last name? Joey Flowers. Sounds like a mob guy.
Right.
But he goes, "Oh, yeah, you saw her? Yeah, I almost ran her over with my car."
Jeez.
And he says, "Yeah, and there's twins." And I go, "Really? Oh, I'm full of shit. No way." So I go to, when I started talking to her at the gym, we ended up going out. I thought it was that woman.
Oh.
And then I said to her one day, I said, "Oh, do you still work over there?" And she goes, "What do you mean still?" I said, "Well, how long have you been down here?" She goes, "Oh, I haven't worked there since 2005. And I said, "I got down in 2007. She goes, "Oh, that's my sister." And it wasn't a twin, but they look close enough. And she's 5'10", and she always wears heels. She wears 3-inch heels. So she looks around 6'1". Abby wears flats. So and they had similar hair at that time. And I love her sister. She's a sweetheart and stuff like that. But Abby is my thing. And if I had been more bold and gone up to that one, I wouldn't be with this one right now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and what I did is I just talked. I took my time. Desperation works sometimes. Desperation, if you go up and say, you see it in the movies, and say, "I desperately want to talk to you. You're the kind of woman I want to be with." No, you look like the one. You got to talk to them a little.
Right.
Talk to them a little while. In college, I remember one time I had a couple shots, but I thought the girl was a little too emotional when this happened. There was another girl called Lori on my floor, not Lori Maislin, Lori Newhouse, I think her name was. And she was dating some guy on our floor. I don't know if I was I thought I was the geek, but this guy seemed more of a geek than me. And she was dating this guy. I said, "Oh my God, how did this guy get this girl?"
All right.
And we had a history class together, and she used to talk about how great my coffee smelled in the morning and stuff like. Because I always come back from my naval science classes from an ROTC class over at Penn, and I'd be rushing back, and I'd grab a coffee before I came into class. And one day I went by, and I knew she'd be in the class. She used to save a seat for me. And I came in, and I got a cup of coffee for her. And I said, I got one with cream and sugar. I got one black. I can drink either. And she goes, "You got that for me?" And she started crying. It turned out she just kind of broke up with that guy.
Oh.
And I just gave her a cup of coffee.
You were just being nice.
I was just being nice. And she just luckily, I realized at that point, I was just beginning to realize that I was all right. I had value, and women would like me. And I said, "That's a little too emotional in the beginning for me." And I said, a girl that we were friends on the floor, but to start crying and start telling me about this stuff, I said, well, I know what the relationship. I kind of inside. I didn't have enough experience with women, but I had enough. Something deep inside me said, "This could be a roller coaster."
Yep.
And she's a sweet girl.
Right.
I'm sure she's a sweet girl.
But you noped out of that one.
I noped. Yeah, nope.
Yep. Nope.
And I wasn't slaying them at that time. But it's a lot. I think it sucks for the guys that are really good in the beginning. The guys that are and the women too. If you're too attractive and charming when you're young, it stifles your ability for growth, to converse, it's like having to, if you grew up like the Captain's Courageous thing, where someone's taking care of you, someone's feeding you and clothing you and working and doing your laundry and doing all this shit, and then one day none of that's happening, you are fucked. You're totally fucked.
Right.
And that's what happens to people that are charming and beautiful when they're young and always have the thing. And then someday they're 50 years old and they have nothing.
Yeah.
They have nothing. They have a desperation in it. They see themselves as they were when they were 22 years old, and they were glorious and godlike and goddess-like, and they're not that way anymore. They're pathetic. And the guys and girls, if you have to work on your inner self at that time and take it as a long view, be strategic. Don't be tactical. Strategic takes a long view of relationships. And yes, if someone jumps in and they fall with them, then that didn't happen. It didn't happen. Right. It could have been meant to be, but you missed your opportunity. But you can't tell me in a world of 8 billion, or what's the current balance, 7.3 billion, that there isn't someone
compatible.
Right. And we like to think the one true love. There is not one true love. There are thousands and tens of thousands of true loves. And people say, I don't want to accommodate. I don't want to equivocate. I don't want to, I don't want to sell myself short. Well, you're not selling yourself short. Being in a relationship is give and take. And you can have very strong, powerful emotions for a lot of different people. It doesn't mean just because when the next person comes along that now I'm jumping off the thing. Right. I'm jumping off that subject. And we're going to talk about that thing about people that are serial monogamous or going from people to people.
Right.
I understand that. And there's probably a lack of value, when you have that Wilt Chamberlain thing where Wilt Chamberlain slept with 8,000 girls or something like that. Which, no, I mean, hey, if they did that, and it's for guys will say, well, Jesus, you're screwing every girl. You're ruining it. Well, gee, you know what? There's not 8,000 women chasing Wilt Chamberlain down. I mean, I don't know if he's dead now or not. He's probably an old man now. Yeah. But if you had 10 good relationships in your life, those women will remember you fondly. And they could, if sometimes, and women, there's guys that will remember you fondly, and they will. Your best recommendations are from past relationships. Your best recommendations.
Right.
If you ended it correctly and you didn't do nothing horrible happen, they said he was a good guy. And say there's some people that really screwed over other people, and they'll say, "Well, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done that to them."
Yeah.
And I'd have to say that your judgment, and the way you talk about people in the past has a lot to reveal to the person you're going to meet. You say, listen, yeah, that was an unfortunate relationship. That person was a disappointment. But if you've been in disappointing relationships time and time again, that means your judgment sucks. Right. And it will suck again because you could leave a person that's really good for you and end up
with a person that's not so good
for
you.
Not so good, and you're dumping that person, the love of your life. So take your time. Don't look on the surface for it. Valentine's Day, I think we're gonna put this out probably I'll put this out on Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Early. Yeah, and do this. So.
Well, we're doing a Tuesday podcast.
So don't feel bad that it's Valentine's Day, and you don't have anybody.
No.
I met a girl on Valentine's Day. I went out with her for a couple months. Met her Valentine's Day night. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, and I was pretty good because it's like. It was 11 o'clock at night at an after-hours club. We ended up going on a ski date and all that stuff. And she ended up not. She was from a wealthy family, and she wasn't what. And she ended up. I think. Oh, it's funny. I do some sleuthing, not to track them down. Oh, I did track them down, I guess, to see what they're doing because now you can find anybody.
Right.
And it turned out she ended up being like the president of some civic association that had a pool club, right?
Okay.
And I think she's a doctor, or she married a doctor, and an inner city group of kids came in, and they had a kind of thing where they let the kids use the pool and all that stuff, and then something unseemly happened, kind of racist, and she was wrapped up in the whole thing. I said, holy shit. Have you gone down to a different road? She was a sweet girl, too. She was at the time. I remember I went out with her. I thought she was gorgeous. And then she had a younger sister. I mean, her sister was like 19. She was 22 at the time. And her sister was 19. She was sunning herself in the back. I said, holy crap. Your sister's going to... And, I wouldn't be so... Watch out with your... when you marry some wealthy guy, he's going to go after your sister.
You never know. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm no stranger to the failed relationships, of course.
All of us are.
But I mean, I've been married a few times.
Yep.
So this is.
I've been married once, and that woman I was married to was a sweetheart.
Right, but
it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate. People have different trajectories of the relationship. It's as if we're. At 5 years old, your friends if you've moved around a lot and you had a friend when you were 5 years old and you met him when you were, and you didn't have any contact after that, you met him when you're 30, they're going to be so different. Your lifelong friends, if you're tight with them, you have shared experience, shared relationships. When I say shared relationship, you're relating stories, shared things that happened. But you separate what happens in a romantic relationship. You think of a bar, a line graph, and they could diverge. And if you're not in the same place and stuff, that's what's going to happen. They can start out sweet. A couple things happen. They interpret the situation. Jobs don't work out right. They don't like the family. They don't like the thing that's going on. They don't like their relationship. People get bitter. They don't grow the right way. They don't appreciate what they have. I see it at the bar all the time. And there was a song, what was that by White Snake or something? One of those bands that you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember, you don't know. Truer words, I wasn't a big fan of the band, but that is poetic. You don't know what you got until it's gone.
Right.
That's not necessarily true. You may know what you got, and that's where people end up being married 60 years ago. Well, I knew what I got when I got her. She's a peach.
Right.
I mean... You never know. That guy could have done something with when he was in Korea, and stuff like that, when he was in the service. But I don't know if that's a downer or anything like that. He could have got a hand job from a tranny in Thailand.
You never know. I mean,
you
you
never
watch
know
Biloxi
what happened.
Blues,
Everyone
that
looks
guy,
like you have a perfect relationship. You don't know what it's like. So Valentine's Day rolls around. Don't worry about being alone. It wasn't meant at this time. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen the day after. Because there's plenty of people that are going to be disappointed on the day of. And what probably the biggest thing after Valentine's Day
about it is usually when it happens.
Yeah. And down here is a little tough. People say, where do you go to meet? They actually ask you, I don't know how to meet. I said, well, come on. You fucking hang out in bars. You go here. You go there. You go to CJ's. You go to Big Chew. You go to thing. You go down to Key West. I mean, I could see if I was 44 and knew what I knew now and went down there single, and I started hooking up with like 35-year-old women down in Key West. They're beautiful women down there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women down there.
Key weird. That's what I call it.
Well, yeah, I'm open to weirdness and stuff like that. But there's a lot more. And here you got to be more selective. And you just have to be ready. And it's a small town. It is a small town.
When we first moved here, I had to take my sons, who were like 16 at the time, my youngest one. And they had to get another physical before they could start high school here, even though they had all that stuff done in Wisconsin. And the doctor told them about this shot that they should get, and we had never heard of it before for the HPV.
Oh,
and he actually took them aside and was like, listen, the girls down here, he was like, you don't get a girlfriend. You just get your turn in line. Uh-huh. And I was like, wow, that's unfortunate. And
that's a misrepresentation because the women are going through the same thing too. They go with the guys, right?
But my husband said the same thing because he was like, he had no luck. He had no luck with girls. You meet them at a bar, they're going to always be at the bar. You can't, it was just difficult.
You don't go to the bar. I tell you, like where I told you where I met mine at the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in the AA. I was in AA for a while, and then you had girls rolling through AA that were visiting. And they met, and they come in, and I had all these references. I met a couple girls in AA I dated when I was in there. I did. It was great.
Of course, my husband was like, He was like, I married someone who's not from here because I'm not from here. Yeah. But it's common. And my sons and the girlfriends that they've had here have just been a nightmare.
Well,
but
you know what?
It's a different.
There is hope. We just said that.
There absolutely is. But you gotta stop worrying about it and stop searching for them and go do your thing and do your life and make yourself happy.
I'm doing a pee dance right now.
Yeah, gotta pee.
Yeah, I know. I gotta go and pee.
You just said pee. See, on the previous podcast, I was like, how?
I don't want to be rude because you're my friend and stuff like that. Sometimes I say things for effect. I'm not saying it today. I'm 55 years old. I gotta say I gotta go and pee.
You're fine.
And we still have to, and we still need to get those iTunes, Spotify reviews. If you're listening,
need them.
Yeah, we need them. And I want to thank Jenna again.
My pleasure.
Your consummate giving co-host. And I am Jim, the Keys Bartender, signing off. We're going to try to play the music again. I don't even know if it's playing because they don't play. It's playing here.
Are you going to be able to listen to it long enough while you hold on to your two Rolling Rocks?
It's playing right now. I'm not touching myself. I'm not. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Have a great
Goodbye.
night.
This is Julie.
Hey, calendar, what's my morning like?
Julie's about to have a long day.
At 9 a.m., soccer carpool. 9:10, purchase birthday card. 9:05, dry cleaning.
Did you just go backwards?
I'm sorry, I can't fit that question into your schedule. 9:15, cry for a little bit.
For days that won't end, let Schwann's help. With Schwann's, you can get delicious meals that go from freezer to table in minutes, not hours. Ordered, delivered, done. That's homemade easy. Visit today at schwanns.com.
The all-new Toyota RAV4 asks, what if? What if your ride was refined and rugged at the same time. Introducing the all-new RAV4 Hybrid. 208 combined horsepower and standard all-wheel drive make it the most powerful RAV4. Plus, with its head-turning style and breakaway speed, it's bound to change the way you think of a hybrid. The all-new RAV4 Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places. Horsepower. Ratings achieved using the required premium and leaded gasoline with an octane rating of 91 or higher. Premium fuel is not used. Performance will decrease.